And we are back again, following the Growlers' loss to the Florida Panthers in the first round. Unfortunately, not a very good run for us. Wasn't really a run at all. Now, of course, we haven't even looked at the upcoming draft to know if this could end up actually working out in our favor. But yeah, all things considered, a pretty disappointing season for us. We ran into a buzzsaw in that top line for the Cats, even though some of our players did well. Again, we held off on making lineup changes, and of course there was at least a comment or two that said, hey, maybe you should have made changes. So again, to prove that point from a few episodes ago when we did make changes in the conference final, you can't please everybody. The New York Islanders pull off the double, both the Stanley Cup and a Calder Cup. The hope, of course, for this episode is that we end up having a solid draft. All things considered, of course, we're looking for good player development, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, potentially, we see a decent setup for this team. As we have back-to-back, or actually not back-to-back, but 2 out of 3 of the last seasons, we have a Calder winner, Tim Orr, who I didn't think was ever going to make the lineup, if we're honest. You know, he was stuck at a low elite, like low 70s for a while, but there you go. Philippe Réaume and Tim Orr have made history here in this series, winning the Calder. So very, very good there. Actually, let's take a look at the AHL Awards as well, just to see if we had any individual winners, and the answer is very much no. So with that, let's take a look at our progress reports first and foremost, because I think that's going to set the tempo for this episode. As Pierre Leroy improves, Réaume improves, which again, last season, trying to get a qualifying offer for him, it wasn't like, oh, I want him off our team. It was just a matter of seeing like, hey, if we could get a first and a third for this guy, we had to at least consider it. We didn't end up getting an offer. He stayed, and then it ended up being the right decision. Oh, God, that's not good, though. No real development there. Jesus. And then down in the AHL, Gail Cracknell improves. This is looking rough. Jamie Morgan with a little bit of improvement. Denis Pepin, Mauricio Moses. You know, I'm thinking next season we opt to care more about the individual attributes as opposed to overall. We're going to have our best players offensively with offensive awareness, shooting, passing in our NHL top 6. And we'll see what happens from there with the bottom 6. Maybe look for a defensive line and a grind line to try and be a little bit more well balanced, and organized. So we'll see how that goes. But all in all, not the best amount of player improvement there. Now we know the draft doesn't really affect us in terms of the lottery. So Montreal has the number 1 pick. I imagine we'll have pick number 16. The hope here is that we have some decent players in this draft. Again, we haven't looked, so I'm intrigued. Connor McDavid retires. Jesus, 2,000 points. That's insane. David Pastrnak as well. McDavid scored more goals than Pastrnak. Interesting. Even as a sniper. Love to see it. Dylan Larkin, Brock Besser. Eeli Tolvanen broke 1,000 points, as did Bo Horvat. Defensively, Thomas Chabot, Hot Sam Bacho retiring. Mikhail Sergachev, Sam Girard. And Michael DiPietro played nearly 600 NHL games. His career also comes to an end. So here we go. It is the draft. I still have hope and optimism this team can make the playoffs next season, but let's see who's available in this draft and if we're going to miss out on anybody towards the top. Top player in the queue, Maxime Houlet. He's the only guy projected in the first round, and he can't even be drafted by us. Next up, you have Marc Poirier, can't be drafted by us. Maxwell Sorelli, who can't be drafted by us. Eve Talbot, who can't be drafted by us. First option, projected at 50, or really 49, Roy Angelitus of Cape Breton. That's rough. We also have Jorge or George Antonio. Gilbert Viano out of Gatineau. Earl Thorburn from Rimouski. Chicoutimi, another Cape Breton option, and Gaspard Lachance. Man, good year for Cape Breton, apparently. Francois Houlet. Marcel Boucher, of course, not available. Chicoutimi, Rimouski, Blainville, another Eagle in Charles Noonan. First option from Halifax, Desmond Davis. We also have Paille, Victoriaville, though. Todd Thomas out of Halifax. Sherbrooke, Shawinigan, Gatineau, Drummondville, Moncton, Zach Fistrich. This is going to be rough, guys. St. John, Cohen Celios. See, again, we got Sherbrooke, Drummondville, Cameron DeNicola. Yeah, this is going to be bad. This is, on paper, we finally get a member of the Titan, Jaden Ekblad. This is going to be rough. Let's see what happens. We will sim to our pick. It's actually 20th, which isn't that bad. Number 1 overall pick, Gustafsson to the Montreal Canadiens. Let's see what we got here. I mean, we pretty much know who our first 2 picks are going to be. Got no choice. It's going to be Angelitus and Antonio. We should end up with both of them. Angelitus is okay. Braden Shen comparison. More physical play there from Antonio. A Thomas Vanek comparison. Interesting. Let's go for Roy Angelitus here first. And we'll hope that his potential is better than a medium 9. It was not. He is a 61 overall. And I think we just missed out on Antonio, who was 1 overall point better. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you could argue, would you rather have had the more skill player as someone who has more physical traits? We went with the skill player. Hope to get both of them. We were a little bit off on that prediction. Gaspard Lachance. No defined weaknesses, so he's pretty well-rounded. We'd need that potential to be a little bit better. And, of course, the argument, do we still need a goaltender? And I think the answer is yes, but I don't know if Ahl is the guy here. 6'1" butterfly goalie kind of scares me. Because in theory, I think you'd want a butterfly goalie to be taller, would you not? God, we do kind of still need defense, though. You know, a chance. Concern for loyalty. Glove hand breakaways. Oh, good. So he's Matt Murray. Gaspard Lachance out of Cape Breton. Come on down. Low 4. It's better than low 6, so I'll take that. Lachance, not a bad selection there, I would say. Unless that goalie ended up being ridiculously good. And the answer, medium starter to 53. I think we did okay. So, I mean, so far, no major steals or anything, but we've at least gotten players who are useful. Next up, I don't think we can take Desmond Davis. I mean, decent puck skills and senses, but that potential being locked in there is a nightmare. So it's looking like Charles Noonan and Todd Thomas will be the next 2 picks. We need to hope Noonan's a medium 9. Good physicality. You know, the skating's a concern, but Noonan will be the pick, and Noonan is a bit of a disappointment at a low 9. Just try to make it work if we can, I suppose. Next up, it is going to be Todd Thomas, and he might be our best chance at a steal. Only 4 points in 30 games. He's got a long way to go in terms of development, but if he has a good potential, you never know. Todd Thomas does have that decent potential. He's only a 50, though. We'll see. You know, for being a Bruins fan, I can't complain about having a T. Thomas on my team. So, let's see. Up next, Fistrich. Can't bank on him. 6'4" overager, but honestly, though, I mean, the attributes aren't the worst. There's also Cohen Celios. Character concerns. Also an overager. 6'5". Well, it's the battle of the overagers here, unless we wanted to really take a risk with somebody else. Let's go for Zach Fistrich here. Let's do it. A 60 overall, low 9 sniper. Wasn't expecting him to be a sniper. And I think, yeah, Celios is there too. Let's hope for the best. How good is he? Also a low 6. Yep. Not our best draft, to say the least. You got the Nicola. Bernard DeRoche might be the pick here. 6'4", decent starting attributes. I like him. Ekblad, we really got nothing to go off of. Who else do we have pinned here? Just Rene Payette, who's okay. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. In terms of the overagers, Elias Boulouris, not looking all that good. Jesse Chow, not looking all that good. Harold, decent point totals. Yeah, not a big fan of this. What about some of the younger players here? Matthew Robida could be worth the pickup here. Yves Laflemme as well. Reed Hughes. Yves Beaulieu. So it could be a decent year next year for Charlottetown. In terms of the bigger players, got a couple of 6'5" options, all belonging to the team that we normally look for. What about the weights? Legault and Goodrow, the top options. Shortest player left is only 5'9". Where's like my 5'7" options here? That's what I want. I want a shorter player. Give me the water bug. So, Laflemme, 2 points, 22 penalty minutes would be a complete shot in the dark. Beaulieu would also be a shot in the dark. Reed Hughes as well. Take him off the list. Goodrow, the 19-year-old. He's just big. Robida, nothing. A lot of these 17-year-olds just putting up no points. I mean, Clement, 18. Big body, that's about it. Bernard Mercier as well, that's about it. Bernard Legault. Put up points, minus player as an overager. That's not good. I feel like Bernard Desroches has got to be the guy. I mean, hopefully he's better than a medium backup, but he should at least have a decent starting overall. So, Bernie, welcome aboard. And he has a 61 overall medium backup. Brutal draft. Let's be honest. Brutal draft. Not what we needed to see to really bring this team together, as we are at risk of losing some staff members here. You know, you can make the argument over our head coach if he's really the guy that can lead us here, but I don't want to let an A-plus level coach, just walk away. And also a vast majority of our scouts need to be re-signed too. So let's see what we can do here in bringing them back so I don't have to do too much staff management. We did have one staff member retire there, so we'll have to bring in a coach. For the most part, this offseason should be pretty seamless. And I want to at least get you guys a look at what I think I'd propose this team happens to be for the next season. I don't think, like I said, that I'm going to care about overall at all. I'm going to look at individual stats. We're going to do this... we're going to do this kind of football style, Bill Belichick style. Screw the overall. I want to get the player who can succeed the best in the position that we put them in. Now, starting off here with the goaltending, I mean, certain changes have to be made. Goodness. We have to let go of one goalie. And I don't know who that goalie is. I think the obvious shout would be Logan Boyce. Yeah, unfortunately, Logan, you got to go. 5th round pick in 2033. We're going to go ahead and drop you. That way we can re-sign Nick Russia. I think it's Bernard Papineau. Sign him up. And Penner as well. We'll try to bring back. Defensively, Bates has been brutal. I'll still probably try to bring him back. Belmar's had difficulty locking down spots here, too. Who do we have that's... De Silva certainly needs to be signed here. Levineau, DeRoche, Kilger, 71 overall, 19 years old. Like the looks of him. We'll see who else we bring back defensively here. And then forward-wise, I don't know why it makes you scroll up all the way. Philippe Ariome needs that big boy deal. $8 million for the next 5 years. Hines, try to sign you back. Get Duchesne, LaPierre, Loshing. Cogliano certainly needs to be brought back. Gill, I'm not sure. Marquardt, I'm not sure. Moses needs to sign his ELC. McIntyre, I'm not sure. Vermette, I'm not sure. Norton's gone. Yeah, he is just 6th round pick in 2030. Very obvious Norton isn't going to make it. Ladd, I doubt you're going to make it, but we'll give you that ELC. And Durand as well, the low elite, super low overall, but we'll try to bring him back. Let's see. Is anybody going to reject? Looks like no. Rayom signed, no problem. So we have $23 million in cap space here, which is pretty decent. You could make the argument over signing May and Weber. We'll see if we end up doing that here, though. Let's see what we have in terms of RFAs just for Vermette. Hate to say it, he's not going to make it. Rafael Vermette, decent season in the AHL last year. I don't think we have a spot for him on the NHL lineup. So Rafael Vermette, 4th round pick in 2030. We're just going to go ahead and let him go. And then the UFAs is where it gets interesting with that $23 million to spend. I think first and foremost, we do have to bring back Bates. We're going to give him one more chance to succeed. We'll bring back Duchesne as well. Belmar, LaPierre. Even if we have to play these guys in the AHL, Sauve can be signed as well. A lot of money we're trying to hand out here. Lemaire accepted, so he's back as our head coach. Now we're going to get a crap load of alerts about scouts, I'd imagine. Okay, a couple of players signed, a couple rejected. Still $22 million. Actually, the majority of players rejected. Well, let's just give Bates a big 1-year, $8 million deal. Same thing with Duchesne. We'll go 1-year deals. Pay them a decent amount of money just to keep them around. Let's go about 4.5 there. Sauve. Let's go about $3 million. Loshing. I mean, you've been on this team for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if you're closing in on 1,000 games. How many games in your career here? Yep, 984. He's been on this squad for a long time. Jameson Camachi. Try to sign you up as well. See what happens. Again, more scouts coming back. Perfectly fine. We know that Duchesne has accepted. Sean Bates has accepted. So the majority of players I'm thinking here have re-signed. Yes, indeed. So $4 million in cap space now. Let's re-sign Justin Gill. So see, we are right up against the cap now, which is kind of scary, given the quality of this team. You could argue that this team should be nowhere near the cap ceiling, but it's where we're at. McIntyre we'll just bring back for the year to help fill out the roster. Everybody should accept. And they do. Okay, so we are good to go. In theory. We'll see, like I said, what this team looks like. We have to try, I would say, a slightly different direction. Not drastically altering course, but still. So, scout-wise, we're good. We got nothing to worry about. Goalie coach, we should still be fine. It's just the best coach available to help boost up the quality of this staff. And it's going to be Blunden. So, let's see if Adrian Blunden would like to be our new assistant coach. And we'll see how that looks for us. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And closing in on 5, really. 4 3/4 there should work. Hopefully they sign. Of course, we don't have to worry about the cap. London went with the Kings. That sucks. To be honest, let's leave that position unfilled. Because what we're going to do is build the team, see what the chemistry happens to be with the current coaches that we have, and then fill the role afterwards. So no guarantees that Lemaire, despite being the A+, would end up being on this team moving forward. So here we go. Another preseason. Let's see what this team looks like here, shall we? Let's see. So goaltenders. I mean, Cousineau and Geet. I think I'm over the Geet experiment here. Experiment. I mean, Penner's really not going to improve at all either. I think it's got to be Morgan and Papineau in the AHL. The big question here is just how do you choose to differentiate who plays where? Best reflexes go to Geet. He has horrible puck control, though. You know, off of the attributes, who do you decide Like, Geet, has the best reflexes, but the athletic and puck control category is by far the worst. I don't know. Horrible glove hand for Cousineau as well. That doesn't help. I don't know how you decide who the goalie is there. I think I'll leave that up to you guys. Defensively, though, I think it's pretty straightforward. I want people, likely who can defend first, but who can also skate. So, in theory, Sean Bates, he just doesn't have acceleration, but he can skate. Philippe Sauve can't skate. He's incredibly slow. He's not overly defensive. He's got good defensive awareness. He reminds me of like Martin Marincin. I don't think I'm on board with that. Belmar also can't skate. He's not overly physical. I think Belmar is out. Jamison Camachi can't skate either. I want mobile defensemen here. Deschamps can't skate worth a damn. Aaron Sims not really all that fast, nor is De Silva. And I think that's the big issue with a lot of these defensemen. They can't move. Vandenbush has good speed and acceleration, not the best agility. But I think I'd prefer to give him the opportunity. Charlie DeRoche, kind of by default, has, one of the better skating ratings. I think that's just our big issue is we have some very immobile defensemen. We could go with the highest overall, sure, and we probably get the Deschamps in there over Camachi, but I think right now that's our big issue is we got a lot of defensemen. Like Deschamps, he's awful. Like he's physical. But he's 5'11", he's physical, but he can't skate worth a damn. He has garbage endurance. I think that's the big thing. The overall ratings do not tell the whole story. Again, Bates, has horrible endurance as well. I don't think I like Sean Bates being on this team either. The good thing with Vandenbush is at the very least he can skate. You know what? Honestly, Charlie DeRoche, I think, is going to get a good opportunity here to come back. I think out of pure necessity, he pretty much has to. Again, if we want to get some defensemen who can actually move. So I think the tiebreaker is likely to be, who has decent endurance. And unfortunately, again, this is fucking broken where it won't let you scroll down. Sims at an 85 with 80 for skating. An 81 for De Silva. It's going to be Sim or De Silva here. From the looks of it, in terms of who at least has decent skating and who isn't going to get tired after 3 strides. Sim is 22, the medium top 6. De Silva is 23. Much more physical presence, I think, for De Silva, which at least kind of offsets, the lack of offensive ability, lack of skating ability. I think we're going to go with De Silva. So you might completely disagree with this, but this is, in theory, like the most mobile version of that back line, of that defense that we can put together. That's been, I think, the big common theme here is we have defensemen who just can't move. You could talk about maybe making the change to, a slower defense, maybe a more physical defense, depending on our coach. I don't know if we're going to have a coach available who plays a more physical style and how well that's going to fit our team. Zigomanis is a goalie coach, so it wouldn't be him. You'd probably have to look at someone like Schwartz, a defensive style coach, and to be honest, it's probably for the best because we're not really going to outscore people. Harold Doyle also, there you go, Doyle runs that physical style. Honestly, I think that might be the answer is to run Harold Doyle as our head coach. Defensive, well, he's a generalist with a physical style. Otherwise, the best option would probably be Schwartz, even though he doesn't run that physical style. It's just outright defense. To be honest, it's a risk, but looking at what our defense is otherwise, the more mobile version of our defense, I guess we could make that change mid-season. If this doesn't work, if the mobile defenseman idea doesn't work, switch it up to like a defensive first, more physical style. That could certainly work. We're going to give this a shot, though, to start. And then forward-wise, again, I think this is going to require a little bit more thought. But if we take a look at these players here, LaRue, obviously going to be on the team, obviously going to be in that top 6. No doubt about that. Leroux's in our top 6. Philippe Arion, I think no doubt about it, has a spot on this team. He's a sniper. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. Like, the puck skills category is fine. That defensive awareness, though. Like, Rayom at least has a spot in the top 6. Maybe a third liner. Maybe. Wes Corazini, I think, has a spot in the top 6. At the very least, he's on this team. I would say at the very least, obviously, he's on this team. That's kind of one line sorted, I would say. Tim Orr, showing up as an 85, certainly has a spot in the top 6 as a playmaker. He's still fine and good to go. Cole Huckins, has incredible shot power, but the offensive awareness, the passing is just not really where we'd want it to be. I think Huckins is the first guy that you say he's better suited for that third line role, especially with the physicality that he brings. Aiden Hannon has the shooting, but the puck skills are garbage. The defensive awareness is garbage. Hannon is a question mark to be in the top 6. He might be replaced. Pascal Duchesne, well-rounded enough to be on the third line, I would say. Not good enough offensively to be in the top 6, but well-rounded enough to be in the bottom 6. Jacques Lapierre. Not good enough to be in the top 6. Questionable for the bottom 6. I mean, the defensive awareness is good, but the stick checking is rough. Probably keep him in the bottom 6 just because of the skating ability. He brings speed to the lineup. Jaden Hines. I mean, again, great acceleration. That offensive awareness, he certainly can't be in the top 6. Again, I think you're looking at someone who's on the third line at best. Johan Loshing, same thing. Third line, bottom 6 at best to really sort that out. Cesar Duchesne. I don't think Cesar Duchesne has a spot on this team. Those top 3 offensive categories are okay. Doesn't have great defense, doesn't have great skating. I think Cesar Duchesne's out of this lineup. Guy Boucher. We know he can score at times, but the offensive awareness isn't the best. The puck skills aren't the best. The shot's okay. Relatively physical. He's slow as fuck. I think Guy Boucher is out of this lineup. I don't like the lack of speed. I want defensively responsible, at least have some sort of speed going for you. Hines at least has the acceleration to offset the lack of top speed. When you look at Duchesne compared to Boucher, and I think Duchesne's a much better option. So I think Boucher's out. Marquardt, we talked about it. Like, the offensive numbers are abysmal. What does he bring? Good speed and good defense. That's it. I think Marquardt's on the chopping block here. I just don't know if there's enough from him to be worthy of a spot there. And then Justin Gill, certainly not good enough for the top 6. Good physical presence. Not the fastest in the world, though. I don't know if Gill makes the team either. So looking there, technically now, we have one spot in the top 6 and one spot in the bottom 6. So we'd have to decide between Marquardt and Gill if there's nobody better in the AHL. But Duchesne and Boucher are certainly out. So when we look down here, we have Laurent Drouin-Delorier, who as a sniper has a decent shout maybe of being in the top 6, but I don't like the lack of speed. Cyrus Cogliano, good playmaker. Again, though, I don't like the lack of speed for him. But, I mean, he's got a bit of a shout for being there. Maybe. And again, Hannon could be down in the bottom 6, too, instead of in the top 6. So maybe we have fewer spots than we thought. Gail Cracknell, again, just no speed. Well-rounded. Decent option for the bottom 6, but that lack of skating is brutal. And again, maybe putting an emphasis on skating isn't the best way to go, but we got to try something different, a different approach. So I just don't think Gail Cracknell's ready. We have Mauricio Moses, again, not the fastest skater in the world. Cesar Denis Pepin, not the fastest skater in the world. This is a common theme, of course, the low skating ratings that these players come out of the draft with. is proving to be incredibly problematic. Boumedienne, not anything good in terms of skating. I think honestly, that skating idea, it just needs to be tossed because nobody has good skating. We can't view that as a strategy when nobody has good skating for the most part, which means I think we have to take that strategy of being overly defensive and overly physical to kind of offset it. I still don't hate the idea of running with this as our defense because they have that bit of speed, but we could also go with just that defense first, overly physical approach to try and make this work. It's just a question of will it, essentially. So then the big question here is who ends up in the top 6. I like Drouin Delorier over Boucher as an option there. I like Cogliano as a potential playmaker. So I think we'll call up Cogliano, and then it's between Marquardt and Gill for that last bottom 6 spot. And Gill brings the physicality. Marquardt, it's just the lack of speed for Donovan Marquardt. We'll give him a shot, though. Let's say we send down Gill. So in theory, right? In theory, what would this team be? We still don't know who the goalies are going to be. But if we were to take this strategy, right? We obviously got to look at our best skaters, which would be these 3. Pair them with people who aren't so great. So, obviously, you'd probably be looking at that setup there. DeRoche can play on either side. So let's go with Bates da Silva, because Bates should end up with a higher rating. Vandenbush with Leroy. Or probably DeRoche with Leroy, and then Cody Vandenbush with Hugo. 2 bigger defensemen that can move. Like I said, if we don't go with that, we're looking at changing to that defensive coach and probably calling back up Sauve or Belmar and just seeing what they can do and hoping that this team with a defensive shutdown 95 Devils style defense can get the job done here. I don't know if they could, though. And then forward-wise, the big change here would be swapping these guys around. So the bottom 6 here, let's see. So I do like the aggressiveness that... Ooh, hello. Who was that +5? Where the hell did that +5 go? It just showed a +5. I'm not losing my mind. It literally just showed a +5. What the hell? I'm not blind, right? That showed a +5. I am so confused. Unless it was one of the higher lines. Maybe it was a 3, but I could have sworn that showed that +5 there. Well then, that's a tease. That's a tease. I like the physicality that we could see from Huckins, Duchesne, and Hines. Still trying to find that +5 combination. Can't do it. So I think I'd prefer this to be the bottom 6. Loshing, Marquardt, LaPierre. Very responsible defensively, even though there's 2 snipers. And then Huckins, Duchesne, and Hines bring a really good physicality to the lineup. And then here, sniper for Hannon. Corazzini's just well-rounded. Cogliano's certainly a playmaker. I'm not talking about actual player types, but just looking at the attributes. So Cogliano kind of treated as a sniper, Hannon treated as a playmaker because of memes. Honestly, this lineup right here could work. I don't hate that. Not at all. Let's go Rayome, LaRue, or Cogliano, Corazzini, and Hannon. That's at least my suggestion if we wanted to prioritize a more speed-based lineup this season to get about as fast as we can. Again, 2 skill lines, a physical line, and a defensive shutdown line. Defensively, we get a little bit more speed on the back end, but sacrifice some of the total overall. And then goaltenders, it could be whoever decides that they actually want to be our goalie. The alternative is we go with the highest overalls for the most part and just hope that a defensive coach would be enough to put this team kind of over the edge and actually lead us to having some success. Of course, we do have some younger defensemen as well that need to look to get into the lineup here, so I don't even know if someone like Philippe Sauve would be playing in the AHL this season. Belmar as well, I think, would also be taking a seat to prioritize some of these other defensemen. Louis Deschamps as well. I mean, I hate to say it, he's 25. He just never developed. A lot of those guys, if they don't play in the NHL, they're going to be taking a seat in the AHL. Pretty straightforward. Even if we weren't to have the best line chemistry there, I don't really care. It's just a matter of getting people the proper ice time. And then forward-wise, just to double check, McIntyre would be one of the first sacrifices for Maurice Durand. Justin Gill, we love you. You've been here for a while. Would you still stay in the lineup? You probably would. We'd have to take somebody out for Ladd. Not sure who it would be. Probably Funk. So the AHL would at least still be decent, even if we don't roll with the best defense possible. Let me know what you think, guys. We have a lot of options here. It's obvious, though, we got to try something different because we don't have the offensive firepower to keep up with a team like Florida that we're going to have to go through in the playoffs to find success. So it's just a matter of what's the right strategy. Just try to get as fast as we can and as organized as we can. Or do we just try to buy all into an overly defensive system, bring out that defensive ability and the physicality, and just try to outlast teams and win 1-0. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. I'll probably hit my controller on the desk at the end of that episode too.